Welcome to the Performance Racing Industry Show at the Indiana Convention Center. Well, the Convention Center and the football stadium next door. There's over 1 million square feet of exhibits here, but we brought our walking shoes, so let's get going. Usually when we see our friends at S&S Diesel Motorsport, they're talking fuel pumps and reliability on Ford trucks that go on the street. Well, they achieve that reliability by making vehicles like this for the racetrack. Luke, what am I looking at here? This is amazing.
So this is Jared Ring's Pro 275 drag car. It's a Cadillac ATS-V, but with a Billet Cummins diesel power plant in it.
This thing is loaded with technology, and it all comes from S&S Diesel Motorsport, including this electronics control system. Now, Luke, what's included in this system, and who's going to want something like this?
Yeah, so this is kind of showcasing what a Motec control package is, like what's in this Pro 275 drag car here. So from the ECU and data logger built in to the dash, and it's fully configurable. A lot of these cars end up being a custom harness for that particular vehicle, which is really expensive and time consuming. This is a easily adaptable modular harness that we have a version for a Cummins, for a Power Stroke, and for a Duramax as well. And lots of different sensors. It's very expandable. You can do about as much or as little as you want with it, but it's a really, really good control system to do about anything you want with a modern diesel.
Luke, with race cars like this, you're always pushing the limits of technology. So what's new at S&S Diesel Motorsport to keep upping the bar?
Yep. So this week, the PRI Show, we're unveiling a new high-pressure fuel pump. So cars like this are making crazy power. Everybody's evolving, pushing the limits, and we need more pump to support more power. So this is the Ordnance 650 high-pressure fuel pump, and we've really just pushed the game to a whole new level. Higher output, higher flow from the high-pressure fuel pump for these diesel applications, and to a much higher RPM capability as well. If you want to go fast and you want to make big power, you're going to do it at big RPM too. So this is the next gen pump that's going to enable all that to happen.
If you want to up your diesel game, go to ssfueled.com. They have everything you need. If you've been around a race car or a hot rod, you've seen exhaust wrap like this. Well, that was invented by Permatex back in 1987. Jeremy, how's the company been evolving since then?
Yeah, so ever since '87, we've basically just been trying to tackle any area of a vehicle that you have a heat or sound issue, trying to come up with solutions to take care of any component that you may have, whether it be something that you can apply an adhesive to or not, and different types of sleeving, trying to make everything easy for the racer to just quick and easy solve their issue and get back to racing, doing what they love.
Especially in racing, why is heat so detrimental to different parts?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you spend a lot of money on these components and everything, increasing horsepower, doing everything you can to make your ride perform better. And heat is a detriment to that because you wear out those products and all those things that you spend your money on. So buying some of our products to solve those problems pretty inexpensively, you can just put something on that's pretty quick and easy to apply and shield that heat away, redirect it, and get on with your racing.
And how, I've heard people say that heat shielding can increase horsepower. How does that work?
Yeah, so mainly with our exhaust wrap, what it does is increase the scavenging effect, so moving the exhaust gases out of the system, containing them in the pipe itself, and there in turn you allow the intake to produce more air coming into the motor. That's the scavenging effect. You need a dyno pretty much to tell the difference, but it does increase horsepower as well as keep the underhood temperatures down.
You come from a family of racers. This grew from racing. So how important is it for you to be involved here at PRI and be involved with the racing industry?
Yeah, very important. I mean, racing is what we started with. We've ventured out since and cover a broad variety of different avenues and markets. But racing is where we started, and it's what we've been passionate about ever since the start. So it's very important to us to always listen to the racers and create better products.
Conversely, outside of racing, who else is using your product?
Yeah, the RV market, home market, boat market, pretty much anything. Motorcycles.
Quality products, they make it in the USA, and they will never stop doing that. Thermotech.com is the place to go to protect everything on your car, on your race car, on your boat, you name it. We are just getting started, so come on back when Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, continues from Indianapolis. The LS and LT motors have been around for a long time, and of course, as these things go, they make more and more horsepower all the time and more torque, Chris. So how does advanced clutch technology manage all of that?
Right, well that's the big task, is the horsepower numbers keep going up, but what we all feel and what the driveline experiences is torque. So as torque rises, the clutch's job gets harder and harder, because we all like tons of torque, but we don't want to drive race clutches on the street. And we go to the track, that's fine, but we still want something that's drivable And today, that's not only possible, it's becoming in demand.
So how have you at ACT made that possible?
What we have done is we've taken earlier ideas that we've had in the past, but we've had to apply more sophisticated materials, more forging technology, different friction materials in such a way that it's more usable. So in doing that, what we did is we developed our latest mod twin clutch in the 10.5 version for the LS and LT platforms, using a forged aluminum cover for the maximum stiffness and response. And inside, we can use anything from race discs with a sprung hub. We can also go to a street disc layout, something that's more drivable. We can go from a sprung hub, and that can be changed if the transmission requirements are different. We can drop in a full race hub and go right back to a configuration that works for all different types of configurations and requirements.
What kind of power, what kind of torque can this system handle?
Yeah, that's a great question. These things start at 850 foot-pounds and all the way up to approximately 1,500. Now, the higher ones are going to be a little stiffer on the pedal, but really now the trade-off between a high torque, almost race clutch and a street clutch are blurred. Now we can actually drive a vehicle with a lot of torque and a lot of responsiveness and still put the clutch in and forget about it.
Your quest to get all of that power to the ground starts at advancedclutch.com. These guys are amazing. If you have a race car, or any car for that matter, you've got miles and miles of wiring, or so it seems, under the hood, and you want to make sure you're connecting them properly. Steve is with WireCare. Now, Steve, tell me in short, what does WireCare do?
WireCare does all wire and cable management products. So we do everything from heat shrink to sleeving, connectors, ties, tools, pretty much anything that you need to wire your car and get your harness working to the top of the line.
Why is it important, in particular in a race car, to get those wiring connections done properly?
Well, wiring is, that's what wins or loses a race for you. So, right. So if you get out there on the track and something goes down, you got a problem. And trying to track that down and find it is a problem. So you want to use quality products from top quality suppliers, and that's what we sell.
And when we talk about those top quality products, you have connectors from Deutsch. Why are those such a crucial component in a race car? Why would somebody want to use one of those?
Well, number one, Deutsch is a fantastic connector. It's very easy to use, and it's a rugged connector. It's environmentally sealed. It comes in numerous cavities arrangements, if you will. They range from 10 gauge wire to 22 gauge, and anything from a 6 amp connector all the way up to a 25 amp connector. Again, very easy to use, to pin and de-pin.
And you're big at WireCare for selling kits. You have the Deutsch connector kit. What are some of the other kits we can find at wirecare.com?
So we sell the Deutsch connector kits. We sell heat shrinkable kits, Vergola kits, which are all of your hose fittings. We sell terminal kits and cable tie kits. So we sell quite a bit. And we'll also create kits for you. If you wanted something custom, we'll put it together.
You can find all things wiring for your car on the track or on the street, wirecare.com. Liberty's Gears has been around for over 50 years, and they're famous for making transmissions that are easily adjustable and really durable. Well, the new rage now is face plating. So Nicole, tell me why I need face plating. Tell me what it is.
Face plating is an upgrade from a stock synchronized trans. It allows for a bigger window for RPM. So when you're drag racing, you want to shift at a higher RPM than what a stock transmission allows. And face plating opens up that window to something that's virtually impossible.
Who's using this in drag racing?
Street racers for the most part, or anyone who wants to take a manual transmission and go drive out on the racetrack. It could be a daily driver, it could be someone who drives it at the track 90% of the time, just whatever their preference.
Liberty's Gears logo is a pro ring that's been used for decades, and this is kind of a variation of that. Show us how the face plating works.
Yeah, so we have, I actually have our standard pro ring right here that started our company out. That's our logo. And then you have a stock synchronized trans gear. These frictions kind of act as a cushion to help shift. However, since it's such small teeth, there's a small window for shifting range. Faceplate opens it up so you have a much larger shifting window. And it also eliminates those frictions, so it's a much more abrupt impact and quicker shift.
How does somebody get their transmission face plated?
So I would definitely give us a call first, because we very well may have already faceplated your trans. We've faceplated so many different kinds of manual transmissions. But if we haven't and we're starting from scratch, you just need to send us a transmission. We'll tear it down, look at everything that we need to do to make it work.
It's good enough for professional drag racers. It's good enough for you. You can find them at libertiesgears.com. If you're a frequent viewer of Motorhead Garage, you've seen the clamp tight tool and you've seen how versatile it can be. We get questions from viewers. They're wondering why, Nikki, they shouldn't just use one of these worm gear clamps. After all, you see them all the time. They just take a few seconds to slip on. The clamp tight tool takes a few minutes. Why is it worth the time and the effort to use a clamp tight tool?
Since it does take a few steps, it's more about the maintenance on the back end. So when you put a worm gear clamp on, the vibration alone and the fact that the inner workings of it is not always up to par is what you're working with. So you want to make sure you have the maintenance, which is on the back end. The clamp tight tool, a couple of cents worth of wire, you put it on, just forget about it. You don't have to worry about it later on.
What are some of the things you have to worry about on a worm gear clamp?
Well, interestingly enough, we actually spoke to somebody about it, and he said he takes a toothbrush out and actually brushes his hose clamps down every 2 weeks. So I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of time, and I'm sure our racers don't either.
One of the big problems with the worm gear clamp is vibration, especially now we're here at the PRI Show. These race cars, run under tremendous pressure, so the vibration can work those loose. How can a clamp tight tool keep that from happening?
The clamp tight tool allows for expansion and contraction, and once you lock it in place, it no longer vibrates. It's on and it will stay on, no matter what you're using it for, whether it's intakes, turbos, whether it's a radiator hose, a small fuel line. Anything you put this on, once it's on, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
And that's the mechanics of the clamp itself. How is a clamp tight clamp better than a traditional hose clamp in the seal that it makes?
It's actually the only true 360-degree seal on the market, and it's custom, so that means every single time it's the right size.
There's lots of different fittings on a car, and particularly on race cars. How adaptable is a clamp tight tool? How versatile is it?
Very versatile. So you can go from ID to OD, any size that you're working with, and then if you need to use it in a reducer situation, or maybe even just banding some things together, you can use it for that. A lot of times you need to buy a specific tool to put hose clamps on. For this is going to be your hose clamp system on everything under the hood of the car.
Now, we know it's smart to use the clamp tight tool right from the beginning. How can it also get you out of trouble if you have an issue somewhere else on the car or in the pits?
Since it's an emergency fix as well, so anything that needs fixed that you just need to clamp together or put some safety wire on, it's there for you when you need it.
The clamp tight tool is the one tool that is a must-have in your toolbox. Find out more at clamptighttools.com. If you've been to any racetrack or seen one on TV, you've seen the name Molly on the side of a race car or around the track. Now, Molly's famous because they made the first aluminum piston back in the 1920s. And Eric, how have you guys at Molly been innovating ever since?
Well, it started with a single aluminum piston in two brothers' garages over in Germany. And since then, we've developed into a global company that has locations worldwide. We manufacture everything from aluminum pistons, diesel pistons, truck pistons, car pistons. And what we do specifically are motorsport forged pistons for the racing and performance enthusiast. We take that 100+ years of product development, product machining, technology, and efficiency, and we build that into every part that we have. It's not something you can see when you open the box, but it's inherently baked into every part.
You've revolutionized the industry with the pistons that you make. Now you're revolutionizing it by the way you're delivering them. So what do you have for the folks that's going to make their job a lot easier?
We introduced it as the Power Pack. The Power Pack is a complete set of forged pistons with rings included, pins, clips, everything that you need to hang that and assemble it on a connecting rod.
So what do you guys need to know if I've got an engine and I want to go racing? What do you need to know about delivering pistons to me?
It all starts with the application, not just vehicle, engine type, etc., but how you're going to use it. It makes a big difference in how you're going to use it because there can be two different pistons for the same engine or multiple options, but how you're going to use it ultimately is what narrows you down into the right part number.
What was the engine building process like before the Power Pack came along?
A builder would order a set of pistons, he would have to order the rings and sometimes order the pins to go with it. It was up to the engine builder to make sure all of those components worked together. Fit of the rings, tolerances, clearances, it all relied on the engine builder to make sure that was correct. We've changed that with the Power Pack by engineering a complete system that he can pull out of the box, not have to think twice about, and work on getting assembly and prep done.
If you're building an engine, Molly Motorsports Power Pack makes it simple and it makes it affordable. You can find them at mollymotorsport.com. If you are racing, you're going to trailer your race car, and that means there's a lot of valuable stuff inside that trailer, and you want to protect it. Believe it or not, trailer thefts are way up, and there's only one way to protect your trailer. It's with trailer alarms. Now, Lyle, trailer alarms has been around for 20 years. You are the name in trailer protection. What are the features of a trailer alarm?
So all of our systems will flash the running lights on the trailer, lock up the electric brakes, and sound a 120 decibel siren. And that's anywhere from our base unit all the way up to our G2 system. And our G2 system is new for this year.
Can I install this myself, or do I have to go to a dealer?
Everything is self-installed. We've got videos on our website. We also have installation instructions that you can download even before you purchase the system. It just makes you feel more confident that your equipment is protected.
What inspired this 20 years ago?
Had a buddy of mine have his race trailer broken into twice, and so I thought there's got to be something out there, and at the time I thought, you know, I can be the Jegs of trailer security, and so now we've gone beyond that. We are the trailer security system out there.
You mentioned the original, you mentioned the G2.
Yes.
What is different and what's new about the G2?
So the G2 system we brought in-house. We hired our own programmers. We've gone direct with GPS suppliers, and so we can control everything right there in-house and make everything more efficient.
We'll move over here to Ashley Aftal. She's a micro sprint driver, and you're going around the country with your micro sprint in your trailer. So how much peace of mind does it give you to know you have a trailer alarm system on your trailer?
Oh, a lot of peace of mind, especially us being just such a small team. You know, I always say if you can spend $100,000 on your racing equipment, why can't you spend, you know, $1,000 on something to protect it? So it's definitely very helpful when we're traveling on the roads knowing that's protected.
Protect your investment, protect your race car. It'll save you a whole lot of money if you go to traileralarms.com. Well, you can make all the horsepower in the world, but it's not any good if you're not enjoying actually driving the car. That's where Mantic Clutches comes in. Now, Jeff, how do you make the racing and the driving experience more pleasant for the driver?
That's a good question. We get that a lot, actually. And that's one of the things that sets us apart. The real key is using a premium friction material, which we do. And even more importantly, I can show you guys real quick. You want to put some cushion in the disc itself. And it doesn't look like much, but that really makes it drive nice, and it gives you a good transition between whoa to go, and that's what makes it enjoyable.
What's the performance like with a Mantic Clutch?
So we can handle anything from about 600 horsepower to 2,000, and again, it drives like an OE clutch. Pedal effort's light, engagement smooth, and we can even keep it fairly quiet.
What's the range of vehicles we're talking? Who is using clutches from Mantic?
Oh, sure. We've got almost all the domestic stuff covered. The Mustangs, the Corvettes, the Vipers, the Hellcats, kind of a Dodge guy, a little soft spot there. We've started doing a lot of the retrofit stuff for the older small block Chevys, older Mopars, even some 2JZ stuff. So we're constantly looking to add. So any project that you have, feel free to reach out to us. Love to work with you.
If I'm building a motor, how do I get a hold of Mantic, and how do I find out what I need from you?
Best bet is to call us direct. You may actually get stuck talking to me if you're really unlucky, but if we know the vehicle type, like you say you're an 11 through 17 Mustang, and then most importantly, let us know what you want to do with the vehicle. If it's purely a weekend driver, great. If it's a road race car, great. Something in between, all the better. We can build you what you need.
He said it all. They can build you what you need. ManticClutchUSA.com on the interwebs. Race, destroy, clamp tight, repeat. Well, the best way to make sure you can repeat is to use a clamp tight tool. Now, Kevin, clamp tight's here at the Performance Racing Industry Show. Why is it important for you to be here among all the racers?
For that lifestyle, you're destroying your cars every weekend. Clamp tight will help you put it back together. Doesn't matter what's going on under the hood, your air, your fuel, your oil pressure. Clamp tight can fix it, get you back on the racetrack doing what you love.
Now, if you're not familiar with the clamp tight tool, you're probably using a worm gear clamp like this. Now, Kevin, why is a clamp tight clamp better than one of these?
So these always have a flat spot. You're tightening it up from this side here, you're pulling that. Pressures, they're releasing, they're contracting the hose, that kind of thing. You're getting that flat spot. That's why you're popping pressures off. You start running high pressures, this thing works itself loose. Now you're leaking oil, you're leaking fuel. That's a no-go.
And with the clamp tight tool, you're essentially using a wire all the way around. And how does that seal better?
It actually goes 360 degrees all the way around that hose, so you don't have those flat spots. So there's the same pressure here, all the way around, so there's nowhere for you to have that leak.
And they're also a big plus on barb fittings. How do they work there?
You're on both sides of those barb fittings, so there's no slippage. Usually with a traditional hose clamp, you're on one side or the other. It doesn't seal there very well. This one, there's no way for it to slip off. You're on both sides of that barb, holding it nice and tight.
And vibration's not going to work this thing loose. Now, what if I do need to remove it and make a repair?
Simply just pull it off like this. Just bend those tabs over, give it a nice little pull, and it comes right back off. So.
Now, we've seen Lund hoses. How versatile is the clamp tight tool? What else can we use it for in the pits and around the race car?
You can put metal back together, like it feels like a tack welded fitting. You can use it on your hydraulic lines, on the trailers, things like that. It works fuel, air, water. If you're holding pressure, the clamp tight tool can do it.
The clamp tight tool is available at clamptighttools.com. You can see how versatile it is. You need one of these in your toolbox. We're still on a hot lap around PRI here on Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. Still lots more to come. You may recognize the PRI-15 Rust Stop Kit as a 3-step kit to eliminate rust and prevent rust. That's how this company got famous, but Kurt, PRI-15 has been evolving through the years. How have things changed over the last decade?
So over the last decade, we've started to dip our toes into different markets, different ideas, particularly with clear coats with our refinish products. A big one we'd like to talk about today is our matte clear coat, which you can see here on this can. But the idea behind the matte clear was we wanted something to match the POR name and durability. And our president and CEO, who also happens to be our chief chemist, Jason Anagnostis, came up with the vision of a matte clear that would have more of a durable finish compared to everything on the market. So what makes ours unique is it's a combination of waterborne and polyurethane, which came from an old hardwood flooring division we used to have. So once this sets up, you can actually wipe on it with a microfiber cloth. It won't leave a shine, to the point where it has the durability where you can pass over it with a buffer temporarily, and you'll see a shine, but the matte will come back to the surface. So to my knowledge, there's no other matte clear on the market that can offer what ours offers.
And ease of application is also important. How does this go on differently than some of the other products out there?
So basically the same application process. It's a basically a 2-to-1 mixture. Ours is 2.4-to-1, but we come with our own unique mixing cup, so there's no guesswork involved. You just mix it up in the cup, put it in your spray gun, and you would apply it like any other matte clear coat. One unique difference, however, is that ours is stirred. With it being a waterborne paint, you don't want to shake the can. You'll find air bubbles in your clear coat, so you want to stir it before you apply it.
Why has this become so much more popular lately?
So a big push lately is the rat rod crowd wanting to keep that rusted patina look on their cars, and they've just started to fall in love with not only the durability, but the look it offers, the rat rod finish.
Well, you can find the matte clear and a whole array of products at POR15.com or PORproducts.com. In motorsports, it's all about being first, and Hoosier Pattern has a major first in the industry when it comes to castings. Noah, how'd you beat everybody else to the finish line?
Yeah, so we were the first shop in 2013 to offer and operate a 3D sand printer in the entire nation. So our president saw a great benefit in evolving this into casting later down the road. With the 3D sand casting, it has allowed us to help with rapid prototyping and really just help with the industry in general.
For the customer, why is it important to have a 3D printed sand casting?
Yeah, it allows for a quick turnaround time. We print about the size of a job box, about the size of a refrigerator. And so with that, multiple components can be printed at once. And so with that, it just allows for more complexity in between.
Of course, turnaround time is tremendously important, but what are some other advantages, Jim, of having a 3D printed sand casting?
The draft, your parting lines, the ease of design. It kind of simplifies things, makes it a little more friendly for the designer.
I'm all for more simple.
Yes.
What's the process if I'm with a race team or a machine shop and I want to get the sand casting from you?
Usually we'd like to receive a 3D model of the casting, and then we'll work with a foundry, whether the customer has a foundry they prefer. We have a great network of foundries. We'll work with them on the gating design, and then we'll get the gated casting file, and then we'll create the mold for it. It'll arrive to the foundry, cleaned. Just take a light air hose, clean off the sand from being shipped and unpacked, and then it can be poured. And then they'll take all the gating and they'll get it all cut off, and it'll be ready to be machined. There's a lot of foundries that have, some have machine shops or they work with machine shops. The customer may have a machine shop, but that would be the next step, and then the customer can receive their end product.
If you are a race team or a machine shop looking to design a new part, HoosierPattern.com is the place you need to go. I'm just hanging out here at the Permatex garage at the PRI Show, and the centerpiece of it is this Lemons car. Now, these cars are $500 cars, no joke. Something's got to hold all this together, Eric. So you're using products from Permatex. How important is it for Permatex to have a test bed like this?
You know, testing our products is the most important thing, really, and we're always trying to make the most reliable, dependable products on the market. So we've got, anytime we're working with new products, new versions of our old products, we're putting them on these cars to test them out. We've done that with our Optimum gasket makers, all three colors, black, gray, and red. We've added a new easy disassembly feature to these Optimum gasket makers where they seal strong but remove really fast. The #1 complaint from people that we had about our products was actually sometimes they sealed too good, hard to remove, and for the racing community, like at this show, people who are rebuilding things often, that time is important to them, and that cleanup, anytime we can simplify it, makes it better for them.
Now with the cleanup, what's that process like?
It's really easy on this. You can use a plastic razor blade and just a little bit of solvent or a little cleaner, not have to worry about gouging that surface with a metal razor blade, and just kind of peels right off the surface.
Now this whole line is for folks who are racers and enthusiasts. What about folks that don't race? What can you do for them?
So, you know, if you've got what this car started out with, which is truly a $500 car, or you're just delaying an expensive repair like a head gasket that can cost thousands of dollars, we've got a brand new category of products we're in, which are these pour-in sealants. We've got a full line of 4 different pour-in sealants: radiator, head gasket, power steering, engine oil, and really designed to be potentially permanent solutions, but hopefully buy you that time before you have to spend a lot of money on the correct repair.
Well, if you've got a race car or just a $500 car, Permatex has all your solutions. They are at Permatex.com. If you come to the PRI Show, I recommend you bring a drag racing Hall of Famer with you. That's what I did. Here's the great Ted Jones.
Well, Dave, I found a nice 1957 Chevrolet here at the PRI Show. Looks basically stock. I mean, the interior's completely stock. The dashboard got the original upholstery inside and everything like that. It doesn't look like it's been lowered or anything. Has some nice custom wheels on it. So what's so different? Why is this on display at the PRI Show? Take a look under the hood. Oh, yeah, that's not a stock 283 Chevrolet engine. No, sir, indeed. Supercharged, too, with an Edelbrock supercharger. But that's not the big news on this car, folks. Yeah, it's going to run on hydrogen. Back in the back, the trunk, is a huge tank back there, and this car is going to be completely propelled and run on hydrogen. You never know what you'll find here at the PRI Show. Back to you, Dave.
Lincoln Electric is the world's largest supplier of welding and cutting equipment, and they've been at it for 130 years. Now, you would think that a company like that would be resting on its laurels, but Lincoln Electric is always advancing. What are some of the new technologies you have here at the show?
Yeah, we're always coming out with new machines. The machine this year that we're highlighting is the Elevate SLI battery-powered welder. So it weighs 35 pounds. It can do 21 3/32 stick electrodes, does stick TIG, plugs in the standard 115, and recharges in an hour.
Who are the folks that are using this?
So your home hobbyist, anyone that needs to basically have a portable unit. If you're up in a rafter or doing some sort of repair, there's a variety of different applications, and it's really a fit for a lot of people.
It has an integrated battery. How long does it take to recharge?
It takes an hour to recharge from fully empty to fully charged.
If you saw Lincoln Electric on the show last year, you saw the Cobot. And for those of you who didn't see it, Taylor's going to give us a brief overview of what this machine does.
Yeah, for sure. So a cobot is short for a collaborative robot. A collaborative robot is meant to work alongside a human. You don't need safety to work alongside, as it has force and speed limiting capabilities that make sure that it is safe.
And I mentioned that Lincoln Electric is always innovating, and now you have new innovations you're going to show us here for PRI this year. What makes it easier to use now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've developed our own proprietary programming interface called the Cooper app. This software, our goal with it is to reduce the barrier to entry for automation, where you don't necessarily need to be an expert programmer or an expert welder to be successful with the product. We have what we call our Weld by Numbers featured on the app. We have developed 8 different numbers that correspond to different weld sizes, material thicknesses. Based off your consumables that you have set up for your robot, we load in those weld parameters, wire feed speed, travel speed, everything you need to get started and be successful with welding.
Amazing innovations from Lincoln Electric, and they all make welding a whole lot easier. You can find all of this and more at lincolnelectric.com. If you are building a racing engine, you need to get your parts coated, and Matt here from Industrial Hard Carbon is going to tell us why. Why should folks send their parts off to you?
To preserve their parts, so to reduce the wear and the friction on their valves or wrist pins or lifters. It just provides safety to the part, so their part should last longer. With a lower friction and co-efficiency, they're going to get better performance inside their engine.
It's going to help your pocketbook as well. Now, you guys have 2 different types of coatings. The DLC is something you brought to the U.S. Where was that technology used before?
So it was used over in France originally, and they used it in different industries besides motorsports. We brought it over to the U.S. and introduced it to the NASCAR industry. So mainly starting on the piston pins. And once that started, it really just blew up from there. So we got involved in other parts of the engine, mainly the valve train area, and it's just, you know, never stopped. It keeps growing.
And who's using the DLC coating now?
So I would say all NASCAR, the Indy Series, F1, MotoGP, NHRA, pretty much any racing industry you can think of is using our coating.
And you have another coating that's more for high-load applications, and what's that all about?
So we have a coating called Cassidium, which has a underlayer for the high-load application part of it, and then we put the DLC on top of that for the low friction coefficiency. So you're getting the best of both coatings in one.
If you want better performance, better reliability, Industrial Hard Carbon is the place you need to go, industrialhardcarbon.com. So many amazing cars here at PRI, and Ted Jones always finds the best of the best.
If you were a fan of Ford versus Ferrari, you probably know what that front end is. Folks, that is the highly desirable GT40 Ford, originally built by Carroll Shelby. Again, I said if you watch that movie, you recognize that car. This, though, is not an original. You probably couldn't afford it if it was. This is what they call a continuation car. That means they build one to look exactly like the original, but they build it all new from the ground up with its own VIN number on it. This one is close to what Carroll would have originally put GT40. After he tried the 289, he put a 427 in it. Again, winning back in 1966, first, second, and third place. Well, this is close. The 7.3-liter motor, which works out to about 454 inches. Now, here's the neat part of this car, though. It's street legal, very, very drivable. It has air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, all the goodies that you need that you can legally drive this car on the street. I'll have one.
What a week we've had here in Indianapolis. You know, we love coming to the PRI Show every year, but as they say, there's no place like home. It's back to the cozy confines of our studio next here on Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com.